Hey, this is Shannon Tidwell back again with another 213 in 2013. It's hard to believe that we're nearing upon a year of doing this video series, so we should be getting closer to our 213 prompts. So this week I have 4 new prompts for you to get you started on your next creative project. So you can see from these little sneak peeks that I'm going to have a bit of fun with my circle punch. I'm going to use some project life cards on my layout, and then I'm going to add in a few fun splashes of embellishments. So to get started on this layout, I started with just a few basic supplies. A couple pieces of pattern paper that caught my eye, some cardstock, and for this layout I decided to go with a gray background. I like starting with gray. It's a nice neutral background without being too plain, but you can add any color basically to gray and it'll pop right off of it. So it's a good base color to use and one that I lean on a lot. That will be our first prompt of the week, is to use a gray background, to go gray. Okay, so now that my background's decided and I've got some photos laid out that I think I'm going to use, I've grabbed this fun clock paper. And I know most people probably wouldn't think swimming when they see clocks, but it's exactly what I thought of because of timing, of course, with swimming. So what I'm going to do, instead of just using this paper plain as a background, I decided that I was going to cut it up. So what I'm doing is I am punching these clocks out with my circle punch. I believe it's a 2-inch punch and it fit perfectly around the clocks. I couldn't find this paper in the store, but you can use this same technique with basically any pattern paper. I went ahead and added a few pattern papers that I thought would look really good with this same technique. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going to go crazy with the punch. I'm just going to keep punching and punching these clocks until the bottom half of my layout is going to be full of them. So that's our second prompt, to punch up a pattern paper for an eye-popping page. So I decided that the clocks would look best kind of layered on another pattern paper, just another neutral pattern paper. This is a light white paper with little circles on it. So I kind of trimmed it down to fit the bottom 2/3 of the page with leaving a border around the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down and then kind of get my photos back lined up where I think they're going to be. And instead of putting them straight across the page, I've narrowed it down to 3 photos, and I'm going to kind of layer them together across the top so it's not looking too square. And now what I'm going to start doing is just putting pop dots, of course, on some of these clocks. So the majority of them will have pop dots on the back, but then I'm going to also leave some that are flat against the background so that we've got a little bit of depth and layering going on. So along with the layering, I think one of the best tips to use whenever you are putting, like, let's say just a lot of circles on your page like this, is that you want some of them to bleed off of the edges. So you'll notice that I used some of the circles that were naturally already kind of cut off on the edge from the pattern paper. But if you're using a solid piece of pattern paper or a pattern paper that maybe has stripes, goes all the way across, all you're going to want to do is just trim some of those circles so that you've got a couple of them that kind of bleed off each edge. And that way it'll kind of help spread out the design and make the design look more natural. I've got an idea for something that I'm going to tuck behind that pattern paper there. So I'm going ahead and tucking those 2 pictures behind that pattern paper as well, so it won't get in the way of that embellishment that I'm thinking I'm going to add up there. But the photo that's on the right, I kind of want to be my focal photo a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put some pop dots under it and let it overlap on top of the photos as well as on top of my circle design on the bottom. And that way it'll stand out just a little bit more than the other photos. And the other reason was because this photo had some text on it that I didn't want to cut off. Okay, so now we're going to move on to what I was talking about, kind of tucking in behind that pattern paper. I've got a project life card here, one of those that fold in half, and I thought it would make a neat place to add my title as well as add some journaling and kind of just do something kind of fun with it, I guess. Just use it a little bit differently than in a project life page. So what I'm going to do is just tuck the back flat behind that pattern paper, and then on top of the top I'm going to go ahead and add some letters for a subtitle, I guess, for my page. And that brings me to our third prompt of the page, which was to use project life cards on your non-project life projects. So you can see here I've also added a couple more cards that I'm going to maybe base a title on and a few more embellishments on the bottom part of my page. While I wait for the glue to dry on the little flap up there, I am going to start playing with these embellishments. I love how manufacturers are putting so many fun embellishments all in one package. So many neat and colorful things. This little pack here is from Pink Paisley and it's called Hey Kid. And there's all kinds of fun, bright colored stars, circles, arrows, all kinds of embellishments that can be used on a variety of pages. But I like how it has this variety and I can use several things on one page. I've got tons of it left over, but I don't have to go digging for more embellishments really. I've got enough of a variety here in this one pack. So that's going to be your next prompt, is to use a pack of embellishments on your page. And that doesn't mean that has to be your only embellishments on the page, but just try to use that as your primary source of embellishment for your page. So as I'm still waiting for that glue to dry, I've gathered up those embellishments I mentioned, and now I'm going to use a two-piece badge. So I'm kind of digging through those and finding one that'll go with it. Just kind of gathering together some things that I think I can add to the page. And then once I get a good collection of things, I'll start adhering them down. Okay, here's some super speed scrapping for you. I decided to speed it up quite a bit just so you could see how I played with things and moved it around. You can see I have a lot of indecisiveness, I guess, as I scrapbook, but just kind of playing around with those embellishments that I set aside. You can see that I'm using pop dots on most things. Even though you can see them through the vellum, I find ways to kind of cover them up with another embellishment so you can't see it. And just adding things here and there to make little colorful pops of embellishments throughout the page. Okay, and now I'm about ready to finish up this layout. I'm sorry the end of this video is a little foggy. I'm not sure if it was dirty hands that got on my phone in between filming or just a little bit lower light that made it a little darker. But we're almost done. So I just needed to add my title. So I'm actually just going to add the name of the swim meet to these little Project Life cards that I had added on the bottom. And these letter stickers, I believe these are by Heidi Swap, but they are the kind of canvas, thick chipboard letter stickers that are actually meant to be misted, but I just kind of liked them as they were and left them white. So you could really do that with any of those mistable embellishments or letters, stickers, whatever, and just leave them plain. It's kind of fun too. So once I got the title on there, I kind of felt like those cards were floating out there kind of by themselves. And so I had this black flag that I had machine stitched around. And I feel like that kind of just helps weigh it down a little bit, maybe connect it to the edge a bit. I don't know, just so those cards aren't all out there by themselves. So now it's time to think about the journaling. Of course, the last thing I do on my pages for some silly reason. So I'm just opening up this Project Life foldable card here, and I'm going to write my journaling on that. And here is the final layout. I forgot to mention that on that Project Life card that folds, to keep it down, I just tucked one of the corners behind one of the clocks. You could also put maybe a little sticker or something on it to hold it down, or maybe put something heavier on the top of it to hold it down, but that seemed to work for me. So I hope that you've enjoyed this week's lesson and that you will take advantage of the 4 prompts that I brought you. Once again, they are to go gray with your background, to punch up a pattern paper for an eye-popping page, to use Project Life cards on your non-Project Life projects, and to embellish your page with 1 pack of embellishments. Once again, my name is Shannon Tidwell, Garden Girl at 2 Peas in a Bucket. Thanks for hanging out with me again this week. Bye.